What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, I'm making my segment, What's Next? Talk about Yuriorkis Gamboa. Again, sensational fight. If you missed it live, you missed a great fight. Make sure you DVR it, rewatch it. Just awesome stuff. It's what boxing's made of. Really had a little bit of everything. Want to spend some time talking about Yuriorkis Gamboa. I think he showed a ton of heart. He showed a heart the size of Cuba in that particular fight. And to me, in losing that fight, his stocks didn't really drastically drop. In a loss, sometimes people can lose and gain more fans than other fighters that win. For example, Mauricio Herrera in quote-unquote losing to Danny Garcia, I think it did more positive for his career than if he possibly would have won that fight in just a 12-round fashion. Same thing with Gamboa. Same could be said for John Molina Jr. versus Lucas Matisse. These are respectable, what I call respectable losses. And again, that's losses where you hold your own, you look good in the fight or throughout the fight, and then you just get caught. You know what I mean? Attrition or whatever happens. So to me, for Gamboa, this loss, it is a setback. Anytime you have a loss, it's a setback, but it's not the ultimate setback. And again, I give him more credit in losing and handling it how he did than I give someone like Nonito Donaire against Siempieway. Nonito Donaire won, but it was a bullshit win. He was crying to the ref and turning his back, and it's just overall that cut opened up, and it just wasn't a good win. It's not how you're supposed to get a championship for someone. So I like Gamboa's heart. I like that he battled adversity, and he was still trying to fight. He was on unsteady legs. He was still coming with it, still coming with the thunder. And immediately after getting seriously hurt in the 5th round, he came back in the 6th round. It looked pretty good, and he was putting together some good punches. Even the round he was stopped in, ultimately, he looked good, and he had Terence Crawford hurt in that fight. But it was just a battle of Terence Crawford did a lot of the right things from the 5th round on. And actually, even before that, he was still losing some of those early rounds, but he was placing body shots and just slowly breaking Gamboa down. And being the bigger person, it just takes its toll. And we know Gamboa struggles in the second half, and that's what I told you in my prediction video. Going forward, I told you this before, I think Gamboa, this was actually one of the predictions I did where a lot of the things that I said in my prediction on Instagram and YouTube just really came true, and you could see it. So I told you guys Gamboa looked better in the lower weight divisions. There's a lot of guys like Vic Darchinyan, Yuriorkis Gamboa. When they're in the lighter weight divisions, people can't fuck with them, and no one can handle their power, and they're just monstrous. And as they go up in weight, it's not the same. You know what I mean? You get up there with the bigger guys, they can take a punch better, or your punching power is respectable, but it's not what it was in those lower weight divisions. So personally, I think Gamboa needs to try to push for a fight with a Mikey Garcia, move back down in weight, go to 130 or something. And 135 is just, he's shorter than most guys that are going to be fighting up there, and they'll probably be able to take his punch better. I just think that's not his ideal weight. He needs to go ahead and try to fight, the smaller guys, the Lomachenkos of the world, Gary Russell Jr., just anybody like that, Orlando Salido, somewhere in between 126 and 130, I think would be more his ideal weight at this point of his career. But he showed a ton of heart. He did look good. He looked fast. He looked sharp. Another thing, this is why some of you guys are probably wondering why I have this fucking meme up right now. And this is a meme I made last night after the fight. I got to poke fun at certain things. And I got to talk about SMS promotions in the Yuriorkis Gamboa What's Next video. Where the fuck was 50 after the fight, after Gamboa lost? This is why I made this meme, is because he was like, Ghost, I let my watch talk for me, my whip, bam. Gamboa lost, nigga. But anyway, he was talking a lot of shit, saying Terence Crawford would get stopped, yada, yada, yada. And then after, he got ghosts like Robert Guerrero. So I want to talk about SMS promotions a bit. And this is perhaps one of the problems with new promoters or just someone new to the industry. You don't know what the fuck to do. Boxing is a sport of ebb and flow. You got to keep your fighters active. Not everyone's a Mayweather or a Pacquiao in terms of they can move up all these weight divisions, or they could take a year plus off, or like an Andre Ward, take a year off and then come back and not miss a beat. That is very, very hard to do. And the fact that in the last 2.5 years, Gamboa has fought twice, that's horrible, especially for his style. He's an athletic dude. He relies on reflexes, speed, power, overwhelming, and that's kind of his forte. So guys like that, it's like a milk carton. They got an expiration date typically. I'm not saying all, but a lot of the athletic fighters, they have an expiration date. You know what I mean? Their style ultimately is not going to last later in life. You know what I mean? Because as soon as they slow down, then they end up kind of like Roy Jones Jr. Look at just look at it, man. Look at the guys who relied on athleticism. Pacquiao, he got knocked out recently. Roy Jones Jr. You look at Sergio Martinez, got beat up by Miguel Cotto's last fight. And then you look at actual boxing technicians like the Floyd Mayweathers of the world, the B-Hops, guys like that, Juan Manuel Marquez, they can survive longer because they're very skilled. You know what I mean? Skill for skill. Even when they slow down a step, they're still very smart. They're smart in the ring. You know what I mean? And that's a big difference. So Gamboa should have never. I mean, in the last 2.5 years, you're fighting 2 times is fucking pathetic, especially based on his style. I think he's probably 30, 31, somewhere around there. And you need to get your career, your legacy intact and get as many fights and do as much as you can while you're still there, because boxing is a young man's sport by and large. You know what I mean? You have to remain sharp, and I just don't think that's ideal for his situation. Also, just he's entertaining. You know what I mean? This was a Fight of the Year candidate, and there's no reason 50 is sitting on these guys who are very skilled and or entertaining or both, like James Kirkland and Gamboa and Darrell, and the fans aren't getting that. The fans should be seeing these guys fight routinely. So that's one thing I miss about the throwback fighters. They used to fight, the motherfuckers fight 4 to 8 times. You had guys like Sugar Ray Robinson who would fight, and then 2-3 weeks later he'd have another fight. Now obviously the scope of boxing has changed. You're not necessarily going to get that, but there's no reason Gamboa should be fighting 2 times in 2.5 years. It's retarded, and you can't keep taking these long layoffs. Like I said, there's only a few gifted athletes that I've seen that can bounce back from long layoffs and look like nothing ever happened, like they never left. So Gamboa also, in my opinion, needs to switch trainers. A lot of times it's about loyalty, and you got family in your corner. He got his pops in his corner, and the people you started with, you want to keep them along. Now, I'm not saying if the formula works, it works, but sometimes you get those father-son relationships, and the father takes them as far as they possibly can, and they just need somebody else. And I think that's what Gamboa does. I think he needs like a Floyd Sr., someone who's going to be permanently in his corner and coaching him the right way, coaching him how to adjust and be better, because there's the flaws that I've always seen that I told you in my prediction video, and they were kind of exposed by a strategic Terrence Crawford. So I think, like I said, I'm not saying he needs to ban his pops, but shit, get a new trainer, get someone who's been doing it and can help you defensively. A lot of people also are talking about Gamboa's chin. I don't get, like, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm pretty versed in boxing. I don't get, like, I look at the whole thing, the big picture, I guess you will. I don't think Gamboa's chinny and has a glass chin and all that shit, because he's been in there with Daniel Ponce de Leon's. He's been in there with Orlando Salido's. He does get flash knockdowns, and I told you that's because he's reckless and he comes at awkward angles and shit, and he doesn't have the proper balance, the proper foot placement, and therefore he gets knocked down. So I think the whole glass chinny is overused in the sport of boxing, just like the word cherry picker, ducking. People just throw it around loosely, like, oh, he has a glass chin. These motherfuckers are human. Because you get hurt doesn't mean you have a glass chin. I had people leaving me comments saying Timothy Bradley has no chin because he was getting rocked by Ruslan Provodnikov. Like, no, Ruslan Provodnikov is a lethal puncher, you dumb son of a bitch. Of course, if he gets rocked and caught on the chin, is going to hurt. Like I said, Timothy Bradley or any of these athletes, they are human. So because they don't necessarily have the same poker face as Antonio Margarito, doesn't mean they have a glass chin. Because same could be said for Antonio Margarito. He got the shit beat out of him by Shane Mosley. So can we say because he was hurt in the Pacquiao fight or hurt by Shane Mosley that he has a glass chin? No, it doesn't mean that. So I think, I'm not saying Gamboa has a granite chin, but at the same time, I don't think his chin is as suspect as some people are making it out to be because he was hurt. And a lot of what happened last night, don't even think it had as much to do with his chin. I think he was tired and fatigued from well placed body shots, and it kind of, I mean, if you're whooped and getting work to the body, and that's going to take away your energy. So anything is, you know what I mean, your hands are going to drop and all that, and then the headshots open up for you. So I think it's a culmination of well placed shots, not just headshots, that got Gamboa hurt and knocked down 4 times. So I don't think his chin is as advertised with some of you boxing fans who are just saying, "Oh, he has a glass chin just because he got hurt." Like, I've seen Evander Holyfield hurt in the what was it, James Toney fight, and he has a hell of a chin. So styles make fights. It depends on your training camp, your conditioning, what the other fighter's doing. You know what I mean? The Selçuk Aydin fight, his recent fight with Victor Postal, he seems pretty tough. You know what I mean? Selçuk Aydin seems pretty tough. He went with Robert Guerrero, and he's been in there with Jesus Soto Caras. Yet you got a guy like Victor who seems pretty much like a light puncher, but a good boxer. But the culmination of different shots, he was able to knock out Selçuk Aydin. He just worked him and got him fatigued and exhausted, and then the knockout came and presented itself. But I don't think Victor Postal is a lethal puncher. So I think the whole he has no chin is definitely overstated in the sport of boxing. Anyway, I wish Gamboa the best of luck. There's plenty of fights he can do. You know what I mean? They can even have a Terence Crawford rematch. It was that good of a fight. I don't know that it would be any different based on what I've seen in there, but you never know. I think one thing that is for certain is 50, if he wants to continue being a promoter and he wants to be a successful promoter, I mean, this was your money, man. Gamboa was like the last guy you had that was your claim to fame. He was undefeated, etc. You got to get your guys more active. You know what I mean? Put the G Unit reunions down. And I told you, and I made videos about this, put the reunions down and CDs and stuff like that. Get focused. Or either that, hire a Richard Schaefer. Not the Richard Schaefer, but your version of Richard Schaefer, like Oscar De La Hoya. You need someone who's going to help you prepare and plan these events. Hire them. Hire someone on YouTube that does this boxing channels. You know what I mean? There's a lot of knowledgeable people that will help you and help your business thrive. So that's what a good executive will do, is if they're getting overwhelmed, like 50 has all these obligations, I have to put out a CD, I have to stay in this movie, you know what I mean, on set, whatever, then you get someone to, you know what I mean, handle your light work and do the other aspects of SMS promotions. And I think he's kind of faltering in that regard. He's not really doing that, you know what I mean? And it all starts with getting your fighters active. Gamboa, who knows what he would have looked like had he been fighting, you know what I mean, fighting a tune-up fight or fought more often, more frequently, especially with his style. It might have been a different fight. Don't think it would, but you never know. He might have been sharper had he been in the ring sooner. So let me know what you guys think. Yuriorkis Gamboa, what's next? What do you want to see next from him? Make sure you like the video. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego, signing off.